Kenmore. Doors will open on the left.
How's it going, everyone? Welcome to episode 28 of Entering Kenmore. I am David Azer alongside Zach Coe. Zach, this is our trade deadline primer episode, but we do have a little bit of Red Sox baseball to get to first. So the Red Sox did end up winning a series against the defending World Series champs, Los Angeles Dodgers, who admittedly weren't at their best, but it's still a good series win nonetheless. So how are we feeling there?
Yeah, I mean, I feel good, all things considered. Friday was super frustrating. The offense, once again, is anemic, doesn't do anything for you. Felt like for a long while, Chris Murphy kept you in the game. Jorge Alcala was another one. He had been pitching really well up until that game on Friday, and then finally the dam kind of broke as Teoscar Hernandez got to him. But I thought it was going to be more of the same going into Saturday and Sunday. Admittedly, I didn't watch a ton of the game on Saturday as I had a family party going on, but I maintained my 162 guy status. I watched at least enough of it to have an idea of what was going on. And then Sunday, obviously, I was locked in for the duration of that one. So I'm feeling pretty good about things. Obviously, with the Chapman injury, which it doesn't really seem like it's much of an injury course at a day or two. So not super concerned about that, but we're feeling good coming out of a series win against the Dodgers. Ultimately, I feel like a lot of people's benchmark for a successful 9 games in that gauntlet coming out of the All-Star break was 5-4, and you ended at 4-5. So not a major difference. I mean, obviously still disappointing, but nothing that you can't bounce back from.
I think the main thing that's important to keep in mind through that gauntlet, and I mentioned it last episode too, is you largely didn't move in the playoff race. So you're still pretty comfortably in that wild card spot. I know you have the Rangers kind of breathing down your neck there, but the Rays have come back down to earth. I think the Red Sox kind of broke them. Since then, it's been all downhill from there. And you obviously have the Yankees who are dealing with the Aaron Judge injury. I don't think that'll be too long, but we've also heard that before where Judge is like, oh, it'll be the minimum stint on the IL. And so we'll see when he comes back. But regardless, I think they are in pretty good shape heading out of that gauntlet. So we'll see how it pans out. But yeah, I am feeling pretty good about everything. I think you didn't expect to win the series against the Dodgers. Obviously, you kind of needed it coming off of those 2 tough series in Chicago and then Philadelphia. You salvaged both of those finales, but you really wanted to see a little bit more of the success against those above 500 teams. So overall, I'm feeling pretty good about things.
Yeah, I mean, obviously last night kind of put a damper on all of that.
Yeah.
With a 90-minute rain delay, got a full episode of Below Deck in the delay, and then Jordan Hicks came in and was like, fire that back up, brother, because this is not going to go well. Comes in, single, hit batsman, gets bailed out by a great play by Bregman on a ball that was absolutely stung off the bat of Correa, and then Brooks Lee gets the job done for the Twins, hits one into left field. Duran can't track it down, scores 2, and 90-minute rain delay, and 10 minutes later, the Red Sox had blown a 4-3 lead.
That was infuriating. I stayed up as well waiting for that. Yeah, the thing is, he was warming up in the bullpen right before they put the tarp on the field. So they had to, I think the rule is they had to go with him, right? Out of the break?
No, so they didn't have to go with him because because the inning never started, so he was never technically put into the game. So, but the reason they had to go with him was because Cora said he was the last guy in the pen. Justin Wilson threw 40 pitches between Saturday and Sunday. Garrett Whitlock was sick, and then obviously Chapman with the tight back was unavailable. So it was literally just up to Jordan Hicks.
And obviously that did not go well. I'm not surprised.
I understand that the Giants wanted them to take his money in a Devers deal. They should have just paid the fucking $25 million off a Devers deal and told
no
them
doubt
him. He sucks. Like, I'm so incredibly all set on Jordan Hicks. Like, he doesn't have any idea where the ball's going. He fucking Mickey Gasper and Deshaun Kiersey Jr. are 2 guys that are reaching base against you. Like, I know Kiersey hit his first major league home run off of Richard Fitz, which is a whole nother story that we can get into. But when he stepped up before hitting that home run, I went, who the fuck is Deshaun Kiersey Jr.? Like, what? Like, that's like a MLB The Show create a player name. And we know what Mickey Gasper is. Poor guy finally got his first major league hit. But, like, holy hell, like, these are the guys we're allowing to get you? Like, the Twins were reeling. I've seen so much more than enough of Jordan Hicks. And if Chapman's going to be down for an extended stay, try literally anybody else in the closer role, because this guy is not it.
It's good timing with the trade deadline coming up. I think we always knew we needed bullpen help. Now it may be more than ever. You could probably use at least one, maybe even 2 or 3 arms to add to that bullpen, because you've overused pretty much everyone up to this point.
Yeah, I mean, Weisert's been awful as of late. Like, I mean, Weissert has gotten to the point where we went from, all right, Weisert's in, this is a lockdown, to when he trotted in last night, I texted my buddy. I was like, oh my God, like, here we go. Like, you just don't feel confident in anything they're doing. And that's kind of the way things go in bullpens, where you have your true lockdown guys, you have your Whitlocks, you have your Chapmans, etc. And then you kind of just ride the hot hand for however long they're hot for. And obviously they did that with Bernardino and Weissert, and it's kind of run its course. But we don't know what's going on with Slayton. Now this back issue popped up with Chapman. Doesn't seem like it's going to be a long time, but who knows? Maybe he takes the mound tonight or tomorrow and it crops back up again. It's like, oh shit, this is more serious than we thought. Whitlock under the weather, so we'll see. I mean, that's not going to be anything long term, but like they need a high leverage arm.
Mm-hmm. And I know we both have a few different targets in terms of high leverage arms.
Holy shit. Any guesses on Jordan Hicks' WAR this year?
Oh God, it's got to be negative.
Yeah, it's negative.
Give me like -3.
-1.2. So you overshot him a little bit. But look, I mean, still, remember when Breslow said that they were going to win more games than they otherwise would have when they traded Devers? Jordan Hicks has already lost you too.
Yeah, meanwhile, Devers is making acrobatic plays at first base.
And Devers also hit a go-ahead home run off of you. So that's 3 wins that you would have had otherwise than that you don't because of the Devers trade. I'm trying to find it. I saw the stat on Twitter yesterday. It wasn't updated yet with last night, but Jordan Hicks's ERA in high leverage situations is just an absolute abomination.
And let's not forget that he got severely bailed out in the finale of the Dodgers series.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
With Rafaela's dream play there. I mean, I can't even believe he did that. Like it was pretty bang there to be able to catch that liner and then dive back to second base, beat him by a hair. So without that, you're looking at probably a loss.
Yeah. I mean, I forgot all about that. Yeah, he gets a ball hit right at him after, once again, he can't find the strike zone, because that's what Jordan Hicks does. He can't find the strike zone. He doesn't know where the ball is going. He's proving that it doesn't matter if you throw 100 if you're just going to hit guys in the kneecap with it twice in a row. It's just, yeah, it is bad. I've seen so much more than enough of him, not to mention, like, he just pisses me off.
I just don't understand why people value him. And the Red Sox were one of those teams who were in on him before he ultimately went to the Giants. It seemed like they probably wanted to turn him into a starter too. That didn't work. Let's put him back in the bullpen, and he still stinks. So I don't see what other option you have here. You can't keep trotting him out there.
No, definitely not. And it's just like, it's funny that, well, I guess they were in on Lugo too. So they were in on some of those guys that they wanted to turn into starters, but the fact that they were so hot and heavy after the one guy that failed in doing that, like Lugo we just saw him get paid huge money to stay with Kansas City, and he's off the market now. Like, the fact that he's the one guy that failed and he's the one guy that they were like, we got to have this guy,
need him.
Yeah, it's fantastic, honestly.
Oh, yeah. It's always one step forward, 2 steps back with this team. You come off the momentum of beating the World Series champs, and then you blow it like that. The rain delay is tough. You know, I do question if that game just was played out as normal. Would Hicks have looked a little bit better? I don't know. Probably not, but it's still in the back of my head.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely something that he had to get warmed up, and then obviously he ramped all the way up, was ready to come in, rain delay, and then he had to go back out and ramp up again and get ready to go. But like, also, like, all right, I found the high leverage. 14 games. where is there innings here? Doesn't look like there's innings on this, which makes no sense. But either way, high leverage spots. It's 41 plate appearances, 33 ABs. Opponent batting average of 394 with an OBP of 500 and an OPS of 894.
Jeez. Yeah, that's not great.
No, not great.
Not a guy I would toss out there in back-to-back ninth innings.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that, like, you just had to. Even this one, clutch stats, late and close. 9 games, 35 plate appearances, 24 ABs. It's a 375 batting average with a 962 OPS.
It doesn't help that your starters are giving you 4 innings on back-to-back days, right? I think, did Buehler go 5? I don't remember, but regardless,
I think he, just barely squeaked out 5. I mean, they might actually need 2 starters.
I think so.
You can't depend on Buehler. Like, how could they shut down Crawford? We're not going to see. Dobbins is done for the year. I know hindsight's 2020, but man, this Priester trade has really come back to bite them in the ass.
It has. It was tough to predict he would break out nearly as much as he has, but he did have a lot of depth, and that was the guy you felt comfortable moving. It's a little staggering.
Right, and there's not a soul that on planet Earth, no matter who wants to revisionist history that was like, this deal sucks. They got Yoferi Rodriguez, who is a pretty high ceiling player. I haven't followed him super closely. I want to say he's in the 20s on Sox prospects right now. But the big get was that compensatory pick that they ended up using on Marcus Phillips, who really, like when I talked about it right after they drafted him, seems like a real lottery ticket who has the floor of like a really elite back-end reliever and the ceiling of what could be a top-end starter if they work with him right. And I have a lot of faith in this minor league pitching development system right now with what they've done with Peyton Tolley, Brandon Clark, Yordani Monegro. We haven't even seen really Luis Perales again yet. He's ramping things back up from Tommy John surgery, but this is a guy that last year took a big step forward before his elbow exploded. And so I'm looking forward to seeing him. But yeah, if you told me that in 101.2 innings after the trade, Quinn Priester was going to have a 3.28 ERA, I would have laughed right in your face, because like that just wasn't something I saw for him.
Oh, totally agree. I'm trying to find him on this Sox prospects list. I don't see him unless I'm blind.
He's definitely in the top 60.
I don't know. I mean, his name's pretty distinct. I might just be blind. Oh no, here he is, 42.
Okay, so he dropped off.
Yeah.
I want to say he was way higher at one point, so he fell off in one of their more recent updates, but I guess he wasn't, because it has the dash next to him. And 42, so whatever. You get an organizational top whatever, top 45 prospect, which is a lottery ticket, but then, like I said, the big get is that pick that you use on Marcus Phillips and the money associated with it, but yeah, it's just tough that it comes back and it's like, all right, well, you look in AAA for some pitching depth, and it's really just Cooper Criswell.
And I don't want to see him trotting out there. Is Robert Stott still kicking around down there?
Yeah. But like we've seen enough of him, and he's not really even a starter. Like, I mean, they don't want to use fucking Cooper Criswell either. I mean, he was the 27th man however many times in all those doubleheaders, and they did everything in their power to not use him. They used him once in that Reds game, the second game after the resumed one, after the Reds had already blown it open.
I do remember
and that was it. So they really don't want to use Cooper Criswell either. But now you're sitting here, T-minus 48 hours or a little more, 50 Zach versus math. It's about to be 1:00 on Tuesday. 53 hours away from the trade deadline. Bang, nailed it. Suck it, math.
That one was impressive.
Yeah, that was quick maths too.
Yeah.
Hours. But now you're sitting here 53 hours away from the trade deadline. You can't depend on Walker Buehler, and you can't depend on Richard Fitz, who it sounded like was going to be headed to AAA, which encourages me. Yeah, it was the last ride. The last ride for the Dick Riders. Very unfortunate, but ultimately he just wasn't getting the job done. And the numbers didn't look that bad on Fitz, but the eye test, he miserably failed the eye test these last couple outings.
I do wonder how he'd look out of the bullpen. Like,
Yeah,
if
I
he
think
was,
if he can find the fastball to tick up a little bit out of the pen, I wonder if it would be there. But then again, like I don't know if I want to do that. Like
no.
like I don't know, like you can't really trust him in those spots. Like, sure, could he take some of the like I don't even know who the idiots in the bullpen would be right now. Like I guess Alcala, but I trust Alcala more than Fitz right now. Like, I mean, some of these back end guys, I think I'm just fine leaving him straight, especially when we just talked about how thin the pitching depth is. Like, at least
Right.
it's someone in AAA. Like, I know they just promoted David Sandlin and Connolly early, but I don't foresee them being options this year to come up unless shit really hits the fan.
I agree. It's a good time of year for this to happen, but we haven't seen any deadline moves so far from Craig Breslow. We just have to see it happen. Like it. The American League is so wide open this year. I still don't believe in the Blue Jays. Obviously, the Yankees have come back down to earth. The Tigers are in a little bit of a slide right now. And the AL West is always a question mark to me, especially with the Astros not being the world beaters we've seen in the past. The Mariners, yeah, they went out and got Naylor. Do we see some other moves, some other additions there? Possibly.
Well, I don't know if you did you see the Dipoto interview? I only saw quotes from it.
Oh, no, I didn't.
Obviously didn't watch the whole thing, but he was like, he seemed pretty ready to go all in on this team. He was like, they asked him about adding Suarez, and instead of giving a non-answer, he was like, if I have the opportunity to add a big hitting third baseman to this roster and the price is right, I'm going to do that too. Like, so it seems like the Mariners were ready to push their chip. I wonder if he kind of felt like the writing was on the wall if he didn't push the chips in this year.
It would be tough not to. Like he's been standing pat at pretty much every single trade deadline, making moves on the margins, if nothing else, for the best rotation in baseball. Like I feel pretty confident in saying that is the best rotation in baseball.
Yeah, definitely.
And we've been banging our heads against the wall, not understanding why he won't move one of those guys to add to that lineup that has really not been very good thus far. But that's a team that is right in the mix with you right now. They're right with you in that wild card spot. If they're going all in, why can't you do the same? Like, you see the American League is wide open. I don't know what you're waiting for.
Right, and now that Judge injury just kind of muddies the waters even more than it already were. Like I've been beating the drum that the Yankees are not that good for 2 years now, and they went to the World Series last year. Mm-hmm. So, like, I saw some Yankees fan being like, oh, like, congratulations, guys, like, Red Sox fans and haters. It only took injuries to Clark Schmidt, Luis Gil, Garrett Cole, and then a whole bunch of scrubs for you to maybe be right about the Yankees being bad. Like, no, it only took an injury to Garrett Cole. All those other idiots are exactly that, idiots. They're like, oh, like it took injuries to Clark Schmidt for the Yankees to be bad. If Clark Schmidt is what's hanging in the balance for you to be good or bad, then you're not a good baseball team. Like, I'm sorry. Like, that is crazy to me. But, like, I don't know. It is encouraging to me that it sounds like Fitz is going to be optioned to AAA today, because assuming that means that his spot in the rotation is going to be filled by a deadline acquisition, because barring an injury, they won't be able to call him back up for another 2 weeks.
Okay, so that must mean they're feeling pretty confident, and obviously we have no clue what's going on behind the scenes. I would imagine Breslow is working the phones right now. But I won't believe that until proven otherwise. But I think that is a good transition into our own trade deadline wants and potentially needs here.
Yeah, at the bare minimum, I'm expecting them to do at least a little bit of what they did last year, which is make decisions on some of these Rule 5 eligible guys. So per Sox prospects, here are some of the notable names that are Rule 5 eligible.
Okay.
Miguel Blaze, Alan Castro, Shane Drohan, Blaze Jordan, Yordani Monegro, David Sandlin, Noah Song. Like, those are the names that I think most people would, at least some people would know. I would expect that Monegro is safe given the Tommy John surgery history. So, or not history, the current Tommy John surgery. I don't think another team's going to take him. So he'll be here and probably unprotected and unselected. But guys like Blaze Jordan, I think this is a good time to make a decision on them. David Sandlin's another one. I know I just said that I don't see him factoring in in the major league bullpen this year, or in the major league roster this year, I maybe could see him getting a look in the bullpen later in the season to see if, like, obviously he's got a huge arm, and he's always had that reliever risk ever since they got him for John Schreiber. So I wonder if maybe we see him factor in just to give him a look before they make a decision on him. Assuming he's still here, but Blaze is the big one to me. I kind of wonder what they're going to do with him because he's going to get picked if he gets to the Rule 5 draft, but do you decide to protect him? Do you ship him out? Do you give him a look at the big league level later in the season if shit hits the fan? Like, I'm interested.
I wouldn't hate that at all. I know we were talking about that earlier in the season too, when it was more of a question mark at first base. You didn't really see the Toro and Romy Gonzalez platoon having the insanity run that they did.
I've seen enough Abraham Toro.
Oh yeah, so have I. I think Romy Gonzalez is a great platoon bat, but you need an actual first baseman out there on a daily basis. Could Blaze Jordan be that guy? To me, I don't think they're going to lean on him when they're in the heat of a playoff race.
No, they can't.
Yeah.
To throw another rookie player into this race is like, it's just way too much to rely on. And like I said, I know Romy and Toro have been good. I think Romy's a good bench bat that you can plop in against lefties. I mean, obviously, he has the best OPS in baseball against lefties this year. But I would like to see a more solidified player in that position, and I have two of them on my list. So
okay, we can. I know you wanted to talk about the Meyer injury, though. Did you want to do that first?
Oh yeah, just quickly. I just can't do Cedar Rafaela at second base. It's nothing against him defensively. In fact, it's a waste of his capabilities defensively. It just keeps the fact that Breslow, Coley said it on the 10, he's built the world's longest road to kick this can down. He just keeps getting bailed out on this outfield log jam. Like, oh, Marcelo Meyer's down. Let's put the best defensive center fielder in baseball at second base so that we can cater to Jarren Duran and Masataka Yoshida. I understand that Yoshida isn't as bad as a hitter as he's been since his return, but he's another guy. I've seen enough of Masa. He's got aura. He's got everything. Everybody loves him. He's just not a fit for this roster, and he's not a very good baseball player, and I don't care about the money. Like, we're going to get to one of these guys that's making, like, the exact same amount of money as Masataka Yoshida. It's like $16 million a year. Who cares? You're the Boston Red Sox. $16 million, and we're like, oh, we can't DFA this guy. Nobody's going to take him, at least not this year. And if he's on your bench and you eat the money for the rest of the year, fine. But their defensive alignment should be Cedar Rafaela in center field, Jarren Duran at DH, Roman in left, and Willier in right. And then you figure out second base, Romy at second base, and then you put your first base addition at first base. Like, boom, done. Craig, I just did your job for you.
Okay, boom. Hell yeah. The thing is, I don't see a way out of this Masataka Yoshida deal this year. So you kind of have to put him on the bench.
Like, I do.
You
DFA
can't
him.
You could. I
just
don't see that happening.
Loose. Who cares?
Do you think that happens this year, though?
No.
Or would that happen in the offseason?
I think that's the off. I think you hope like hell he can get things going at least a little bit to show any semblance of value, because after this year, the deal becomes at least a little bit more palatable to try to get a team to take on. Let me see what the exact number is left. But it's going to be the same as last year, where every team knows that you hate this guy. Mm-hmm. Like, he's not a fit for your roster. He's not anything. So after this year, it's 2 years at, oh boy, this one's going to be tougher. 30.
Matt is coming back for revenge.
37.2 million for 2 years, 18.6 per year.
Bang.
So that's a little bit more palatable than whatever it is this year. But even now at this point, like 18.6 million prorated by like we're 2/3 of the way through the season. So you're going to owe him like $6 million. We just saw the Phillies give David Robertson like $18 million prorated for the rest of the year. So like, that's not even that much. I just think that every team knows how much they want to get off of Yoshida in his contract, that they're just going to be like, we're not going to give you anything for him. DFA him. Like, you're going to DFA him, and we're just going to wait you out.
Scoop him up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I firmly believe he would be good on any other team in the league that actually needed him.
Yeah, and I mean, he just needs to settle in, but, like, at this point, it's not a fit for this roster, and it's really hampering their ability defensively. Like, I know everyone's, "Oh, 10% catch probability," that ball that was hit over Duran's head,
Yeah.
I think it was the Pajes double, but, like, I had the same thought that everyone else had. I was up in the booth, and Duran, he got, like, an okay jump on it, but I was like, "Okay, well, Rafaela makes that play." And I understand it's a 10% catch probability play, but I saw someone pushing back on that, like, well, Cedon Rafael is only 3 for 5 in 10% catch probability or lower situations this year. It's better than what Jarren Duran has been in 10% catch probability situations this year, which I don't know the exact number on, but I can tell you that with absolute certainty.
No doubt. It's just annoying to sacrifice your defense when Rafael has also not looked the part at second base. And it's
No.
a tough transition, obviously, and I totally understand that, but you're going to sacrifice the top of the top defense in center field just because you have an injury. It just doesn't make sense to me.
I really just hope that's what the plan is. Like, first base gets addressed, Romy slots in at second, and Rafaela goes back to the outfield.
That's the dream. And then Meyer just slots right back in at second. Like, you're putting him in the major leagues this year for his defense. It was never because
you're
of the
going to
bat.
platoon, and it's going to be the same thing as it was before. Meyer's not going to play against lefties. So Romy still gets his ABs against lefties, and you can even continue the platoon depending on who you bring in as your first base addition. Like, if it's Ryan O'Hearn, who I think both of us would be pretty underwhelmed with.
Yeah.
But if it's him, then it's him, and you still platoon Romy at second or at first against lefties. Like, there are ways around this that don't involve Cedon Rafael at second base. It's such a waste of his defense.
Yeah, and like you said, what Coley was talking about, that Craig Breslow has invented the world's longest road. At some point, I just refuse to believe we're not going to address this. It's getting comedic at this point. Like, you have to make a decision.
I think all signs point to Duran being moved in the offseason.
Mm-hmm.
Based on all the reporting that we have right now, it just kind of seems like they've been looking to get blown away. Like, if the Twins were willing to swap Joe Ryan for Jarren Duran, that's something they would have been interested in, but they weren't. So, like, we got that Dylan Cease offer of Duran for Cease Salas and another prospect not named Leo DeVries, and the Red Sox immediately rejected it. So it looks like they were looking to be, like, completely blown away if they were going to trade Jarren Duran, which they should be. Like, you're trading a guy with a ceiling of a 7+ win season and a top 10 MVP finish. I don't think that's who Jarren Duran is going to be for his entire career. But I'm also not discounting the fact, I think I said this on here before, but conversation I was having with Dan Ball one day during Red Sox pregame was that Duran could go to a much smaller market that's not under the intense microscope that is, like, playing for the Boston Red Sox, and he could consistently be a 5+ win player where he just has to show up and play ball. Like, he doesn't have to sit home and be like, "Oh man, I fucking suck and they all hate me and, like, everyone in this town hates me." Like, he won't have that in San Diego or Philadelphia. Maybe Philadelphia. That wasn't a great example, but but like some of these other markets, Minnesota, that might be interested in him. Like, so I'm not discounting. Yeah. So, like, I'm not discounting the fact that he can be a really good player and they should want to get blown away. And by all accounts, it sounds like it would be a really big hit to the clubhouse if they dealt him this year.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they do wait until the offseason to move Duran, but I also wouldn't be surprised if teams get more desperate as July 31st approaches and make you an offer that knocks your socks off, you know? Like, I think there are ways around this.
What is that? Like, because you're going for it this year. So, like, yeah, sure, a team like the Mariners could come to you with Colt Emerson, Lazaro Montes, or whoever, and, like, maybe the Twins decide they're going to go for it, although they just traded Chris Paddock yesterday, which he sucks, but whatever. That's none the worse for the wear. But like, in, say, Walker Jenkins or, like, any of these guys, none of those guys help you right now, which is kind of the conversation that we've had the last couple of weeks when talking about a potential Duran trade. It's just, you need starting pitching and you want controllable starting pitching, and the teams that have it aren't looking to give it up at this time of year. So it's just a deal that it seems more likely to come in the offseason. Like, a Joe Ryan for Jarren Duran swap isn't happening right now, but could it happen in December? I think that's way more likely. I mean, we know from the reporting that this time last year, the price on Garrett Crochet was Roman Anthony and Marcelo Meyer. And
Mhm.
they obviously gave up Kyle Teal, who I was never really a huge fan of, Braden Montgomery, who I love, and Chase Mydroth, who's a nice piece, but like he's not going to knock your socks off by any stretch of the imagination. So it's just, I think they're way better served to trade him in the offseason unless they get the Twins to do that swap or something similar to that at least.
And I was talking with my dad about this too. The ideal scenario is just Yoshida does not play.
Yeah.
You can slot in Duran at DH, and then you have Rafaela back in center field, and hopefully you make additions in the lineup elsewhere.
Yeah, it's got to be first base. It
Has to.
Like that's the only position that makes sense, unless maybe like there's a second baseman that comes out of the woodworks. I know that there were reports that the Braves were willing to listen on Ozzie Albies during the offseason. He's a switch hitter, so wouldn't be necessarily adding another lefty to your lineup. But is that something they entertain now? It doesn't seem like it. It doesn't seem like they're going to be sellers. I mean, they just added Eric Fetty and Carlos Carrasco. Obviously, two moves that don't move the needle at all. If you're a Braves fan, I don't know if you follow Daddy Dimu on Twitter.
I don't.
MLB The Show content creator, but he's a Braves fan. And he was like, come on, man. Like, it seems like the Braves are kind of setting up for a 2024 Red Sox trade deadline where they add like a bunch of shit bums and be like, see, we bought, we still believe. And then they're just going to continue to sludge along at the rate they're going.
Well, they basically pulled the James Paxton in terms of Fetty got DFA'd.
Yeah.
So get ready to learn Danny Jansen, even though I think he already got moved, right?
Yeah, he's a Brewer now.
Oh, God. Okay, good for them. I think the only other thing I had is really a one-off point that I don't know where to insert into this podcast, but I was talking with Joe Weil about this on Sunday, and also my dad and I feel very strongly about this, and it is the intro video at Fenway Park where, right before the players take the field,
violin.
Yeah. Oh, it's horrible. This one is particularly horrible, but it has not been good since they were running out to The Business by Tiesto. Tiesto, yeah?
Yeah. Yep.
In 2021. That got you rocking and rolling. That got you hyped to win some baseball games, and that was also the last time that they were really good. So I think we should just bring that back.
I can't believe we've never had this conversation before, probably because we've never been to a game together before, but I like every time I go to a game, I'll say that. I'm like, oh, this one, it's The Business. Like that was the best. Like some of the other ones that they've had have been okay, but none of them have matched The Business. Yeah, no. I'm right on there with you.
That had aura. I can't put it into words. That one just did it for me, and everything since then has been an epic fail.
Yeah, couldn't agree more.
But I guess that's a tough transition into this trade deadline points, but we can open this up now. Did you want to start with the top or you want to start at the bottom?
We might as well start with our pipe dreams because we don't have to spend too much time on them because aside from maybe one, I don't think any of them are happening.
No, I agree. I can start off here. Do you want me to just fire them all off?
Yeah, might as well.
Yeah, I don't really have individual points for any of these. These are moves that would put me over the moon. So Joe Ryan seems like more of a pipe dream right now. Like we said, it's probably more likely to move in the offseason. Fernando Tatis Jr., likely never going to happen. Spencer Steer is an interesting one. I just think the Reds are in a weird spot. And could we see them move on from one of those guys? I don't know. Also, Adley Rutschman, I don't see happening, but could be in need of a change of scenery.
We already have Connor Long. We don't need a second bad catcher.
Oh, boy. Oh, well.
Badly
Zach is out on that one.
Yeah, I don't need Badly. No chance. Guy's name is Badly, and we want to bring him in? No, thanks.
Hey, this is a pipe dream for a reason.
Yeah, pipe dream. That would be that's in my that's all category. Adley Rutschman. That guy.
Oh, wow.
He stinks. I hate Adley.
All right, let's hear yours.
Yeah, well, just quickly on Joe Ryan, I think that's the most realistic of the bunch, like just in terms of maybe Spencer Steer, but just in terms of I think he's going to get moved in the offseason because I don't think you start floating around a name like that without the intention of trading him, especially after the All-Star game comments where he that he gave to Bradford, where he was like, I can't fucking wait to get out of Minnesota. This place stinks. Obviously, I love it, but that would be awesome if I got traded. Where am I getting traded to? Boston? Let's go. Like that was pretty much what he said at the trade deadline or at the All-Star game.
He's got one foot out the door.
Yeah, Tatis is an interesting one too because eventually I think they are going to want to move off his money because God knows they're not getting anyone to take that Bogarts money, and with their ownership situation kind of in flux. I'd be interested to see what kind of path they go down, especially given that their two best pitchers are pending free agents at the end of the year. But like that, I mean, I would do this in a heartbeat, like Duran and Wilyer Abreu, and you're getting back Tatis. Like again, yeah, done in a heartbeat. I'll just rattle off mine quickly. Logan Gilbert, Ronald Acuna, and Matt Olson. Doesn't seem like the Braves are going to be sellers, even if they were, unless it was a situation like Devers and the Red Sox, where just Acuna has really rubbed enough people the wrong way with some of his antics that they're just done with him and looking to move on from him. But again, we've seen what he's done in the last 2 weeks. So I don't think he's going anywhere anytime soon, even if he pisses off every single player in the Braves organization. Matt Olson is one that I thought was way more realistic a couple weeks ago, and it's probably is someone that they should move, but they're hell bent on not selling this deadline for whatever reason. They're currently sitting here. The last time we recorded, they were 10 back. The Marlins were closer to the wild card spot than they were, and they were like, us selling? Why would we do that?
Yeah.
Currently in the wild card race, the Atlanta Braves sit 12 games back, 15 games under 500. Nice. And yeah, they just don't seem very set on selling. They're gonna add Luis Garcia and Lucas Sims and Carlos Carrasco and see what they can do there. Yeah, that one doesn't make sense to me. And then Logan Gilbert, he's like one of my favorite pitchers in baseball. I don't really know why. Have no reason for Logan Gilbert for me to love him as much as I do. I think that would be awesome. But again, like I think if you're talking deadline acquisitions, it's never going to happen because Dipoto seems hell bent on going all in and pushing all the chips in, and I find it pretty unlikely that they're going to move him at least now. With I think 3 years of team control left. But that would be pretty awesome if they did. But then again, I'm also like they would tell you Meyer or Anthony, and I'm all set on both of those guys being moved for him. Like Christian Campbell, we could have the discussion, which takes a lot for me to say for one of those three guys. But again, pipe dream, not happening, but would be cool.
I wonder if the Mariners make some noise in the playoffs this year, but don't go all the way, don't make the World Series. Could we see them finally be like, okay, we don't need 5 good starters and move one of those in the offseason? Maybe.
Yeah, well, I mean, Bryce Miller has been a non-factor for them this year. He's just ramping back up. So, I mean, like you said, they have Wu, who's taken a massive step forward, Gilbert, George Kirby, Luis Castillo, who it seems like was on the doorstep of being a Red Sox this offseason. He would be the least intriguing of the bunch to me, just because of age and contract situation. But yeah, that's a good point. I don't know that I had considered that yet.
Also on the Braves and why they refuse to sell for whatever reason. Looking at the standings here, you have to jump 6 teams in the wild card race. What do they think is going to happen bringing in Carrasco and Eric Fetty? Like, why would they not just sell off some of those assets? Doesn't make any sense.
15 games under 500.
Yeah, like if it was going to turn around, I think it would have turned around by now. You're 105 games into this thing. I don't see it changing that drastically.
And their entire rotation that from opening day is on the IL right now.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, that doesn't include Strider, who started the season on the IL, and some of these guys like Grant Holmes stink. But like, I don't understand what they're doing.
I don't either. But we can transition into our more realistic wants at the trade deadline. Do you want to alternate, or should I just rattle them all
off? We might as well alternate.
Okay, so I'll start off with my first one, and that is Dylan Cease. He seems like the best of the rental options, in my opinion. You have your Zach Gallons, you have your Merrill Kellys. I'm kind of all set on both of them for different reasons. And admittedly, I did have Zach Gallen as this person first. I switched to Cease because I looked at the under the hood numbers, and I was way more impressed by Dylan Cease. So you look at his Savant page, and he's still super high in whiff rate and K percentage and chase rate. So there are successes here. And I think, could you get a deal done with him pretty quickly if you do acquire him? Could you extend him with the, is it a lockout coming next year or some sort
It'll
of?
be after next year.
Okay, so could we
before
see?
27.
Okay, I got you. So could we see maybe a shorter term deal there just to shore up his money before something happens? I don't know, but it feels like this has been one of the names that has been floated to the Red Sox pretty much all season up to this point. I think it finally gets done. I wouldn't move Duran for it. I know, like we said, McAdam was reporting that there was an offer on the table where it was Duran for Cease, Salas, and another prospect from the Padres. To me, I think that's way too much, and I think you could get a deal done just for Cease with some of your lower level.
I don't have any interest in Ethan Salas.
Me neither.
It was cool. Oh, he's 19 and he's already in AA and he's a catcher. He sucked since that point. They rushed him up there and he just hasn't developed the way he thought he was going to. I'm with you there on Gallen, though. I don't think the home runs would play at Fenway at all.
No, not at all.
He's got a 1.6 home runs per 9 this year. And
we have Cutter Crawford.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we do. We have Zach Gallen at home, in Cutter Crawford. I'm all set on him. He's a rental. They probably still want the moon and the sun for him from that 22-23 season where he was two seasons where he was one of the best pitchers in baseball, finishing 3rd and 5th in the Cy Young voting. So yeah, I'm all set on Gallen. He's like you said, he's a guy that they've been after for quite a while. They were interested in him in February. Obviously still having a bit of a down year, but because of that, I think the cost of acquisition would be pretty low. I'm right there with you. I'm not trading Jarren Duran for that package or anything even resembling that package. Getting a rental for a guy with 2.5 years of team control that just finished top 10 in MVP voting is just not nearly enough for me. Sure, you could work out a deal with Cease, but just value wise, that doesn't make sense at all. Because say you end up giving Cease $30 million a year, and you have Duran under team control for another 2. He's making $7 million this year or something like that. Yeah. And isn't something that would be happening for me, but it's just, where do you line up with the Padres on a deal if it's not for a major league caliber player? Because they're one of those teams that's also in contention right now. They're kind of looking to do the buy, sell, or deal. That always fails. I feel like every team, in an ideal world, every team buys and sells at the trade deadline. You ship off your Aroldis Chapmans and you bring in, a bad example, but Emmanuel Clase, or you ship off your Dylan Cease and you bring in Edward Cabrera. In an ideal world, every team does that, but this isn't an ideal world, and nobody to this point has been able to successfully execute the buy and sell trade deadline and still be able to compete. But I am in on Cease. I just wonder how realistic that might be with them matching up on a deal.
No, totally with you there. I
do
just
they
think
Go ahead. No, finish your thought.
Oh, I just think it makes the most sense in terms of rentals because it seems like the Red Sox are heading down that path more so than a Joe Ryan or someone or a starter with more years of control. And if you're super desperate, I think you might just have to make the deal at this point if you think you can make some noise this year.
Right. Well, what I was going to say is, do they love someone like Blaze Jordan and think he can contribute right away? They've been mixing, matching Jake Cronenworth and a couple other guys at first base this year. And it just hasn't been working out for them. So do they think that Blaze can come in and immediately be their starting first baseman for the stretch run? I would find that hard to believe. But that's the only type of situation I could see working out between these two teams. But I do agree that I think Cease is the most likely rental option. I think they're going to end up with Charlie Morton, but
we'll get to him later. Yeah. All right, let's hear your first guy.
All right, do you want me to go just within the order of our doc, or do you want me to match you with another pitcher?
I think you can just go in order.
All righty, I'll start with Yandy Diaz. So earlier this week, you mentioned it earlier, the Red Sox killed the Rays right before the All-Star break. Ken Rosenthal reported that their recent skid has forced them to reconsider some of its stances on keeping certain players in the fold, including first baseman Yandy Diaz and second baseman Brandon Lau. So we don't need to worry about Brandon Lau. I don't like him, even though he kills the Red Sox. But I want to focus on Yandy Diaz here. A couple weeks ago when the Red Sox were, maybe it was that last series before the break, Will Fleming on the radio broadcast, like offhand mentioned like Diaz is a guy that the Red Sox front office absolutely loves. Like, and boy, would his swing play at Fenway. And then Chris Cotillo had a similar report that if he were made available, the Red Sox would be very interested in bringing Andy Diaz into the fold. And I am as well. He is a righty bat that kills lefties. And I saw Red Sox payrolls. Like, I don't think Andy Diaz makes sense for the Red Sox. You got Romy Gonzalez. Like, Romy Gonzalez is a nice little player, but if we're not adding a guy like Yandy Diaz, he's hitting 286 with a 8. Oh boy, this one's going to be a win for math. 8 something OPS. I'm just going to calculate it real quick just for the sake of keeping things moving, but 820 OPS. That actually was not that hard. 18 home runs and 61 RBI this year. He's under control for at least 2 more years. This comes from Red Sox payroll. This year's salary is $10 million. Next year's salary is $12 million, and he's got a 2027 club option that will become guaranteed at $13 million if 500 or more plate appearances in 26 and he passes a physical. And the Rays would have to pay him $1 million bonus if he's traded. My one concern with Diaz is looking at his spray chart. He doesn't really pull the ball in the air a whole lot. This year, only 2 of his home runs, 3 if you count one that would have been probably just over the monster to left center, were to left field. He would benefit from the wall giving him 3 extra home runs to left field. So I wonder if that's something that they could tweak in his swing, that he pulls the ball in the air more. So that's my one concern there, but I think he'd be a pretty much perfect fit. He's cheap, under team control. He doesn't strike out a whole lot. Looking at his numbers, if you change on Baseball Savant, they let you change the ballpark and it gives you the numbers. They would be pretty much the same. 285 batting average, 18 home runs, 19 doubles, 1 triple, which I don't know how they calculate a triple there. Maybe it's just one that he legged out that wouldn't have gone out in Fenway. But I think he's a good fit, especially if they can find a way to get him to pull the ball in the air more. He's not going to light the world on fire defensively. But again, like, I don't think that like super matters in your first baseman. Like his not handy Diaz. Jesus, baseball on, fucking take it easy. It's only 1 in the afternoon. He's a -2 outs above average at first base this year, but like I said, like, that's range. Like, I'm not looking for a real rangy first baseman necessarily.
Right.
Like, does he make the plays? Like, can he scoop a ball? Yes, and yes. And all the under the hood numbers are incredible. He hits the ball hard. He swings the bat hard. He doesn't strike out a lot. He's middle of the pack in walk rate, but when you're not striking out a lot and you're putting the ball in play, anything can happen. I think he's like, right now, he's my number 1 target for this deadline.
I have been back and forth on Yandy Diaz since we've seen that first leak about it, or first report that the Red Sox were interested in him. To me, he's a better version of Masataka Yoshida, especially if you're going to keep Jarren Duran and put him at DH, then Yoshida's riding the pine. You basically have another contact hitter here that can, pop you one every once in a while. And it's more of a surefire thing at first base, which I think we have both been clamoring for all season, along with a vast majority of Red Sox Nation. This makes a whole lot of sense to me. The more and more I hear about it, the more I'm like, why haven't they already pulled the trigger on this? I do get a little bit worried about trading in division, especially with the Rays, because whatever prospects you're getting back, they probably are going to turn into, the second coming of Randy Johnson on the pitching side, or whoever you want to say on the hitting side.
Yeah, well, what's it, Brandon Clark in his last start, where he actually wasn't good in his last start, but 8 different organizations had scouts in Greenville for his last start. I want to say I saw that the Reds, the Rays were one of them. The Marlins and Dodgers were another 2. We'll get to a team in the Marlins who have a guy that I'm interested in, but like, just giving a guy like Brandon Clark to the Rays, I said this to you when we were texting last night, it feels like a recipe for disaster. Yeah. But if Peyton Toley's off limits, which he should be, then like Brandon Clark's your next best guy. And I'm willing to make that move because I'm tired of hearing that we're not going to sacrifice wins tomorrow for wins today. If you continue with that mentality, guess what you're never going to do? Win today.
Not to mention you already drafted like at least 8 or 9 pitchers in this
Yeah.
most recent draft. So even if you are to move from your crop of pitchers, you have another set of guys coming up that will probably take over those spots. And I think you'd be fine in the development pitching side of things.
Yeah, you have to give stuff to get stuff.
Yeah.
Like, you have to give up talent to get talent back. And if that's one of the guys that you have to give up, then fine. That's what you have to do. If and this is coming from me, the number one prospect hugger. You have to pick your guys that you like. That's what Dave Dombrowski was very good at. So many people, including myself, would talk about him depleting the farm system. But when you look back at the guys he traded, no one of consequence really ever came back to bite you. Yoan Moncada, Manuel Margot, some of these guys are just whatever. The White Sox, when they initially started talking about trading Chris Sale, wanted Rafael Devers and Andrew Benintendi, and Dombrowski was able to identify the guys he liked and traded the guys he didn't. And he, like I said, didn't trade anybody of consequence. So identify your guys. It seems like they already have started to with Tolley. And they did that before with Meyer, Anthony, and Campbell. They said these are the guys. Everyone else is available when talking about getting Crochet. So I just want Breslow to do that, and then everyone else should be available. Like you said, the pitching infrastructure in the farm system is not going anywhere. They spent the last 2 years, almost all of their draft picks on pitchers.
And I'm not worried about that either. I think you need to have conviction, especially at the trade deadline. You need to make some moves. Bottom line, I'm tired of. I understand you needed to build up the farm system, and that's largely what Chaim Bloom did before he got scapegoated, and that's neither here nor there. But Breslow, you need to make use of some of these assets, or else you're going to lose them for nothing.
Yeah, completely agree.
That's where I'm at. I think my next 2 guys I'll kind of group together. They're both bullpen arms. Fitzy was mentioning this guy a week ago. He wasn't really on my radar, but David Bednar for the Pirates. His name has been floated in trade rumors for a while simply because he's on the Pittsburgh Pirates. This year has been really up and down for him. I think he actually got sent down to the minor leagues at some point this season. Mm-hmm. Since then, he's been really good. You look at his Savant page, it's a whole lot of red. Shout out Playboy Cardi. But anyway, to me, this seems like the year he ultimately does get moved. Could that be to the Red Sox? I know the Tigers were kind of poking around at him too.
Blue Jays earlier today too.
Yeah, it seems like he's going to go to one of these contenders, and I'd like to see it be the Red Sox because you've seen the bullpen. I mean, we were talking about it before we got into the deadline discourse here, but your bullpen is severely overworked. You need arms, and whether that's a high leverage guy like David Bednar, some other lower level guys, regardless, you need arms. You need more fresh arms, and you need to take some of the weight off the Greg Weiserts and the Bernardinos of the world because sooner or later that's going to bite you in the ass, and I think we're seeing that a lot as of late. A lot of wins are slipping away because of the bullpen, and I don't think it's entirely their fault. So I'll move on to my next 2 just because they're both relievers as well, and that is Johan Duran and Griffin Jacks. Both were playing right now in Minnesota, and it seems like they're trending towards a fire sale. They moved Chris Paddock, who, like we said, sucks, but I wouldn't be surprised to see them just completely blow it up and move some of these other guys where you could fetch a pretty penny for relievers at the deadline, both of which I would be totally open to getting. I think Duran, I don't know, is going to fetch
Duran, but
yeah. So Duran is going to fetch a bigger package than Griffin Jacks, I would say. But either way, I would be happy with any 3 of those guys walking through the door.
Yeah, I think the reports earlier in the deadline season were that the Twins were looking for 2 top 100 prospects for either of those guys. Yeah. I'd imagine that the price just went up with Emmanuel Clase getting taken off the market as a part of that investigation. It's weird because when you look at the Red Sox in Baseball America's top 100 that just got updated, they have 6 guys. I know that individual teams have their own lists, but like I'm not giving up guys that are like close to the big leagues for at least not for Bednar or Jax. I think I'd be more comfortable doing something like that for Duran, who is like a certified stud
Yeah.
closer. Like, but I think that's like a situation where I would want to move Chapman if they were going to add a guy like Johan Duran to this team. Like, I mean, like that's your closer of the future. Like at that, like you're comfortable letting Chapman walk if you're bringing Duran through the door. So at that point, you might as well just get something for him while you can. So like, what does a deal look like there? Like I said, like I don't want to give up the password for a guy like Jax or Bednar, but like I think that's what it would take. So if they were willing to take some of these guys that are a little bit further away, like a Brandon Clark, like a Franklin Arias, then that would have my attention. But it just feels like the cost of acquisition, at least on Duran and Jax, are going to be way more expensive. And I know that the reports when the Blue Jays were interested in Bednar earlier were that they wanted at least an organizational top 5 prospect in return. So when you're talking about the Red Sox, like I said, I just told you they had 6 in the top 100. Obviously, Kyson Witherspoon is one of those guys. He's ineligible to be traded because the MLB is stupid. So that eliminates him. So then you're talking about one of those guys like Meyer still qualifies. Obviously, they're not trading Marcelo Meyer for David Bednar, but but then you get into the password Tolley, Arias, Clark. Like I'm not trading any one of those guys for David Bednar. Like it'd be a better option for Griffin Jax or Duran, who have more control. But like I said, if you were adding at least Duran, I'd want to trade Chapman too, and I don't think they're going to do that. But I would love it. I love Duran.
No, totally fair.
And you got Duran.
Yeah, which would also be cool. But I think I just tabbed these 3 guys as my top wants in terms of bullpen arms. Really, you could put anyone not named Lucas Sims and Luis Garcia in there, and I think I'd be happy that you're bringing someone in to take some of that weight off your bullpen. It just seems like they're in need of another high leverage guy, and so is everybody at the trade deadline. But I think you might have to just match that price and pony up if you really think you can make a run this year. You could benefit from having any one of these guys in the back end of your bullpen.
Yeah, I'll give you my 2 bullpen arms. Pete Fairbanks and Ryan Helsley were my 2. I didn't plan it like this. It kind of worked out that I had 2 potential packages between the Rays and then the Cardinals. We'll get to my other Cardinal here coming up. But supposedly the Rays prefer to keep Fairbanks, but they're at least willing to listen to offers on him. The Cubs are a team that I've seen were pretty interested in him. I feel like if you're already talking about Diaz, and that's a deal that I am kind of expecting to get done with Yandy Diaz coming to the Red Sox at some point within the next 53 hours or whatever the number was that I did earlier. So I feel like they should at least inquire about Pete Fairbanks. The Rays also have Edwin Uceta, who I would at least be interested in seeing what the price was on him. He's an interesting relief arm. The under the hood stats don't immediately jump off the page at you with Fairbanks. Pretty pedestrian swing and miss numbers. The strikeout numbers are down, but the results really haven't changed with that. It's a 2.84 ERA with just a 2.93 FIP. He's got a club option for next year at $7 million, which is an easy pickup. Like $7 million for a really elite arm. 17 saves this year, 7.58 K per 9, 3.5 walks per 9. So nothing like super crazy, but again, he induces a lot of soft contact and he gets the job done. Like ultimately, the under the hood stats can tell you a story, but if you're out there and you're getting the job done, it doesn't really matter if you're not missing a ton of bats. Like you're getting outs, you're generating outs all the same. And at this point in the season, I think it's fair to say that he generates outs. Like your FIP only takes you so far. Like at some point, the regression's not going to come in a single season, which is like kind of where we're getting to at that point. Ryan Helsley, this is a guy that I was hot and heavy for this offseason during a lot of the talks between the Red Sox and Cardinals centering around Arenado. Ivan Herrera was another one who, if they had Narvaez and Ivan Herrera as the catching tandem, oh my God, that would be the best catching tandem maybe of all time. But 36 innings pitched to a 3.0 ERA, 21 saves, 10.25 K per 9, 3.5 walk per 9. He is a free agent at the end of this year, so I assume that makes the acquisition cost a little bit lower. But again, like this is one of the elite relief arms in the league. He throws absolute gas. He's a guy that I would love. Like, I mean, this is one where you don't have to trade Chapman because you're okay letting, I don't think you can let both of them walk this offseason, but you can let one of them walk and then say, all right, this guy's our closer now. I think between the two, I would lean keeping Helsley, but like, and then at that point, I think they should trade or roll this Chapman. I'll say it. I've talked myself into that right now. Like but it has to come with an addition of Helsley, of Fairbanks, of Duran or Jax. Honestly, not even Jax. I'll throw Jax out of there, and I'll throw Fairbanks out of there. So Helsley or Duran, trade Chapman. That's where I'm at with this. Like replenish the cabinets a little bit more, and while still going out and getting an elite arm. The hard hit rate is a little bit on the higher side at 45.5, but it's not something that like super concerns me. Like all closers are going to get hit hard eventually. I mean, we just saw Chapman get taken deep by JT Realmuto in Philadelphia. Like these guys, like there hasn't been a season where a closer's gone perfect in save situations since Brad Lidge in 2009. Like, there's a reason for that. Like, these guys are going to blow saves eventually. Helsley is a guy that I think would be a perfect fit for this bullpen. He just throws absolute gas. He misses a ton of bats. Like, the profile fits what this front office looks for.
I like both of these names a lot. I think Fairbanks is a little bit tougher to wrap my head around simply because the last impression I have of him is him allowing a tank to Cedar Rafaela.
Yeah,
obviously,
I forgot that was him.
So, I mean, but I would welcome the move, of course. And Ryan Helsley, like you talked about, we were both kind of glazing him heading into our first couple episodes in the offseason. Like that was a move both of us wanted to see. And now it seems like the writing's on the wall there. Do I still have the standings up here? Yes, I do. So the Cardinals are 55 and 53. They probably will buy because, like we said they might be looking to add simply because the trade deadline sucks now, like we talked about last episode.
Yeah, they're 3.5 out of the Wilds card.
Yeah, but
Helsley's a guy that he said he expects to be traded. Like he just point blank said that. So,
and I mean, do any of us really believe the Cardinals are going to get into the playoffs, let alone make noise in the playoffs? I certainly don't. So,
well, they do have the Cardinals devil magic, but like I just don't, especially when they like, I don't know what their schedule looks like down the stretch, but you have the Cubs and the Brewers in your division. I assume that they're playing both of those teams at least for another, like they probably play at least 10 more games against both of those teams or like combined. So like, I can't imagine that they're going to feel great about the spot they're in. Not to mention their farm system kind of sucks. They got JJ Weatherholt and they have Quinn Matthews, and then they have a whole bunch of nothing. Their 3, 4, and 5 prospects are all catchers.
Yeah, so maybe move one of those guys too, eh? We need a backup catcher.
Yeah, I'll take Raniel Rodriguez. I mean, he's not really a backup. He's only 18 and in A-ball, but like I'll take one of those guys for sure. Yeah, so I wonder if they're kind of looking to restock the cabinets before Heim takes over. Like, and we know there's the familiarity there with the farm system. Like, does Heim really love? Like, I don't know. I feel like I've traded Blaze Jordan 15 times in this episode. Does Heim really love Blaze Jordan? He's just a name that, like I said, the Rule 5 eligibility, I keep coming back to that. But like even like a guy like Luis Perales, who dipped into the top 100, I think even the top 50 before he got hurt last year. Is that a guy that he really likes? Like, obviously we know he didn't have anything to do with Brandon Clark or some of these other guys, but like the password is another one. Like back end top 100 guy for Ryan Helsley. Like I think you do that.
Yeah, I agree. I did some research while you were talking there. The Cardinals have the 9th strongest remaining strength of schedule. They play the Brewers 6 more times, Cubs 6 more times. Also have 3 against the Dodgers, Padres, Yankees, and Mariners. See you later, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I think they're probably selfish. And we got the report yesterday. They were willing to listen on Arenado again. I don't think that's a fit anymore. Just because I feel like it's such a waste to put him at first base. But like, I guess if that's the path they're going to choose to go, then so be it. I just don't see that being an option. I saw the Astros floated as another possibility for them, and he wanted to win, and that's why he declined that trade to the Astros this offseason, right? Now they're talk about devil magic. The fucking Astros, dude. Like how they have the most players on the IL than any team in baseball, and they're sitting here 13 games over 500 with a 3-game lead in the AL West. It's just they Astros devil magic is the new Cardinals devil magic.
Oh, it's infuriating too. I mean, could we see the Mariners make a run at that division lead? Maybe, but even still, I mean,
Even the
Hunter Brown
Rangers,
is
with the way they're playing, 8-2
right.
in the last 10.
Yeah, but Hunter Brown is pitching out of his mind, and this is all largely without Yordan Alvarez too, right?
Yeah, he hasn't played. I don't think he's going to play again this year. He hasn't played since like May, and every single time there's an update from him, it's like it gets grimmer and grimmer. So like they're weird about their injuries because they did the same shit with Kyle Tucker last year. Like with Kyle Tucker, he got hit in the shin with like a foul ball, I think it was, and it was like he had a shin splint. Or at first it was a shin bruise, and then it was a shin splint, and then it was like, oh, he'll be back in 2 weeks. Oh, he'll be back in a month, and then he missed the rest of the season. They were like, oh, it was actually fractured. So they're pretty secretive and cagey about their injury reports. So like I think like Yordan is on the IL with like a shoulder strain, and he just hasn't played since May.
Yeah, so seems like a strain. Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously. Oh man. Yeah. Well, who knows how that pans out? But I do like both of the names you listed. I just have one more. That's pretty quick. It's Rhys Hoskins. He's a righty first baseman, also a rental. So. Could that fill a need? I think so. He has a little bit more pop than Yandy Diaz, I would say. Obviously, I would be open to any actual first baseman. To me, it just seems like the Brewers could be pretty likely to offload him. He's on the shelf for a little bit right now. Nothing.
And they're sniffing around Ryan O'Hearn too. The Brewers are so. One
right, especially
in, another one
especially
out.
If they go all in, it seems more likely that Hoskins may not be a part of that. Could you get him for pretty cheap? I think so, and that does fill a pretty big need. I don't have much to say on him. He's not at the top of my list in terms of wants, but if you miss out on a Yandy Diaz or any other first basemen that maybe make a little bit more sense, then I would see what you have in Rhys Hoskins there.
Yeah, I don't hate that one at all. And I think this was a guy that was floated like when Casas initially went down, like, oh, could they go after Rhys Hoskins? Obviously, the Brewers have been surging ever since then. So I think it makes it maybe slightly more unlikely that they deal him. But again, they're sniffing around Ryan O'Hearn for a reason. Like,
right.
And I know, is Hoskins still hurt?
Yes, I'm pretty sure I can check real quick.
But I mean, it depends on the injury situation, of course. But that's a name that I like. I believe he's also just a rental, so it's a guy that comes in and comes out. I kind of think if they're going to address first base, it's going to be a guy with more term because, as Chris Cotillo so eloquently put it the other day, the Red Sox inside the walls of the front office are not guaranteeing that Tristan Casas is guaranteed to be the first baseman on opening day next year.
No way.
If you didn't pick up on that by the fact that they tried like hell to trade him when they didn't have a backup option all off season, then I'm sure this injury certainly reinforced that point for them. One, you don't know how he's going to come back. This is a pretty significant knee injury that not a lot of players come back from. And he was bad before then, which I mean, much to our dismay, he was bad before then. So I think the time to pencil in or to write Tristan Casas' name in at first base and Sharpie is come and gone. So I kind of would like to see them address first base with a more controllable option, but that can come in the offseason too. I mean, like in Philadelphia, Alex Cora was like, oh, Kyle Schwarber's offseason free agency is going to be very interesting. Like, we know he's played first base before, and we know he fits in this market. So, like, is that a potential option? I think that's something we talked about last episode, but they need to address first base. We cannot keep going with the Abe Toro, Romy Gonzalez platoon because it's just not getting the job done anymore. Romy's been fine. He's fallen off a little bit, but Abraham Toro since July 1st, geez, if I can talk, he just isn't doing it for me anymore. He has a couple big hits to start rallies here and there. I know yesterday it was an Abe Toro single, and then that leads to the Roman Anthony RBI that gives them the lead. He had another situation like that in the Dodgers series, but since July 1st, if my baseball reference wants to populate, it's a 233 batting average with a 592 OPS. So to me, like 2 hits or like in the last 5 days that you can pinpoint as rally starters just isn't enough for me to continue on with the Abe Toro experience. The Linsanity run is over for him. I think he was a nice piece for the while, but Dom Smith was a nice piece for a while last year, and he ultimately went the DFA route as well. So I'm ready to see a first baseman get brought in here.
So am I. We can't keep pretending that Abraham Toro and Romy Gonzalez is the first baseman platoon of the future for the Boston Red Sox. I'm just like, everyone knows it. At some point, it's another world's longest road scenario here. Like, this should have been addressed a while ago, and it still has.
They went into the season with an injury-prone first baseman who has only had, and again, this is me, the biggest Tristan Casas guy going, but an injury-prone first baseman who had only shown it for a short stretch in 2022, 23, whatever year it was. He'd only shown it for that short stretch, and they went into the season after trying like hell to trade him the entirety of the offseason without a backup first base option. It's time to address it.
Yep. And it seems like as good a time as ever to either bring in a rental or address it in a long-term scenario too. But
yeah,
I can't keep doing it. If you're gonna say to me that you're all in on this year and come July 31st, Abraham Toro and Romy Gonzalez is still your best option at first base, then I refuse to believe you.
Yeah. So I have 2 first base options here too. 2 first baseman / catcher options, actually.
Okay.
Which one do you want first?
Let's stick with the Cardinals.
Alrighty. Wilson Contreras is my pick from the Cardinals. He's played exclusively first base and DH this year. However, with Carlos Narvaez as your primary catcher, I don't think it's that big of a deal to have him slotting in behind the plate at least every once in a while, maybe once a week. And the main motivation, like I said, I didn't do this on purpose when I was looking at options, but once I started thinking about the Cardinals as potential sellers, Contreras started to make sense for me as a guy that they might want to move off of. He's under team control at $18.5 million per year for the next 3 years, I believe it is. So eventually that catcher is going to go away. Like, he's not going to be able to catch anymore. Let me pull up the exact contract situation. Search results for Wilson Contreras. Well, I know he exists. So, but to me, he's just a guy, like, he knows what it takes to win. He's played in a big market like the Cubs and St. Louis. Like, St. Louis they are a mid-market, but they're a bigger mid-market of the bunch. And if it gives the Cardinals a chance to get off a contract of a 35-year-old first baseman at $18 million and kind of reset things as John Mozeliak, or however you say his name, steps away and Heimblum steps in. And I kind of, again, looked at this as a situation to maybe lower the cost of acquisition on a Ryan Helsley. Like, are they willing to take a lesser prospect if you're willing to take on the Wilson Contreras money? Like I said in the last episode, from the way I see it, they've spent more of this Rafael Devers money on Liverpool than they have the Boston Red Sox yet. They said they're going to spend it elsewhere. We haven't seen it yet. And I understand that that's probably going to happen in the offseason. But again, if you look at the offseason, who is really a big money target for you heading into this? Like, I don't think they're going to go after Kyle Tucker unless they're trading 2 of Duran or Abreu or Rafaela, who we heard from Sean McAdam that teams were calling on. I don't think Rafaela is going anywhere. So unless you're trading 2 of Abreu and Duran and going after Kyle Tucker, I don't think the money's going there. And then the pitching is it's pretty underwhelming. It's Dylan Cease, it's Michael King, who intrigues me, but he hasn't pitched since May either, after he slept on his shoulder weird and still hasn't pitched yet. It's Merrill Kelly, it's Zach Gallen, 2 guys that are old. I already told you that I think Zach Gallen, the home run problem, is just too much at Fenway. So I think that this Contreras edition is a good way to spend some of that Devers money, fill a hole at first base, and potentially plug your backup catcher role while also getting you a lower cost on one of the best closers in baseball. I finally have the contract up after all of that. He's under, team control for 2 more years, 26 and 27, with a club option with a $5 million buyout for the 2028 season, which is his age 36 year. He's actually been a really good defensive first baseman this year. He's 3 outs above average, I believe, which I know I told you when talking about Yandy Diaz. I don't really factor in range out of my first baseman, but it's still good to see out of like a strong defensive first baseman. All the under the hood stats look great. He's still hitting the ball hard. The strikeouts and the walks are, I mean, it's Wilson Contreras. That's always been a part of his game. It's a 25% strikeout rate, which is 27th percentile in the league, and 7.9% walk percentage. But again, like if he's hitting 260 with a almost 800 OPS, he's going to hit you 15 home runs and provide like a veteran leader in the clubhouse. And at the bare minimum, it's just another mentor for Carlos Narvaez. Like, even if you don't think that he can be your backup catcher and fill in once or twice a week, he's a guy that had done it in the big leagues this is his 10th season now. So he's been around. He caught for a long, long while for the Cubs. Like, it's just another guy that can help bring along Carlos Narvaez, who's come out of nowhere as your catcher of the future. Like, I think he's a pretty good acquisition to get. And again, like just looking at the spray chart, I think the bat would play at Fenway.
I think this might be the option I like the most at first base, to be honest with you. Like, I took a look at his Savant page while you were talking about everything there too, and he's been sneaky productive this year, like you said. Yeah. Like I kind of thought he dropped off a cliff when he went to the Cardinals, and it's largely been consistent since he's been there. So if the Cardinals are, looking towards the future with the changing of the guards at GM, then why not? Like. And I do think there's something to sweetening the deal for Helsley by taking on this money. And they haven't spent any of the money from Rafael Devers.
At some point, it's got to get spent. Like $18.5 million. Like, I mean, it's not chump change by any stretch of the imagination, but it's a reasonable deal for a guy that's still productive into his 30s at this point. Like I said, even if you don't think, like, I'm looking at his defensive numbers from behind the plate last year, it was slightly above league average, blocks above average, slightly above league average caught steals. The framing and pop time wasn't great, but like, again, you only need to mix him in there once or twice a week just to get Narvaez off his feet. Like, how many like brain dead errors has Carlos Narvaez made in the last couple weeks that like show that he's wearing down? Not only has the bat started to wear down, but the catcher's interference. Last night we saw balls just popping out of his glove. Like, it is clear that they need to do something to address this backup catcher. So if you can kill really 3 birds with one stone between getting a more solidified option at first base, getting a backup catcher, and using the acquisition of that money to acquire one of the best relief arms that might exchange hands at the deadline, like, man, like that'd be a really savvy move by Breslow. And it's a name that we haven't really heard at all as someone that they're looking to shop. Man,
you cooked on this one. This is really cool. I really wasn't even thinking about him as a potential option, but it does seem like the Cardinals are trying to get younger, and they're kind of in this weird baseball purgatory right now of being pretty mediocre. I wouldn't be surprised to see them move on from him, especially if you're willing to take on that whole contract. And It's not that bad of a contract. We were talking before we hit the record button, and I compared it to Masataka Yoshida's deal. Where people are ready to DFA him, then why not bring in a similar money contract to a player that will help you a lot more than I think Yoshida will?
Oh, absolutely, without a doubt. He's a guy I hadn't considered literally at all until I was just looking at the Cardinals being like, oh, okay, so they're listening on Arenado. They're going to trade Helsley. Their farm system kind of sucks. Like, Brendan Donovan might be on the move. Like, they're looking to build around the Lars Nootbaars, the Mason Wins, the Jordan Walker, if he can ever figure it out. Like, they're looking to build around a young core, and they don't really have too much coming up. Ivan Herrera, that's another one who was really good for them this year. So I think that could line up there. It's like I said, it's a name that we really haven't seen a whole lot, but it's something that I'd be interested in at least exploring with them. And again, like with the familiarity with Heim in the system, like there are probably some guys that he would love to get his hands on.
Oh, I bet. And we see those we see those teams get familiar with deal making, especially if you have a guy who worked in your system. So could it be an option there too? I think with Heim there, it might sweeten the deal.
Yeah, I like the Rays is another one where they've made that deal last year for Danny Jansen. Obviously, it's a minor deal, but the familiarity in the deal making it's a real phenomenon. I mean, you see teams make trades with teams that they've made trades before. The Rockies and Yankees are one We
Yeah.
see them continuously make deals with each other. The other option, much younger option, first base catcher option, is Dalton Rushing, who we got in that Sean McAdam report that the Red Sox were interested in, and the Dodgers were one of the teams that we know had scouts at the Brandon Clark start last week. They also were sniffing around Franklin Arias. This seems like it would be more of a prospect for prospect swap. Obviously, Will Smith is having a career year. He's the long-term solution for them behind the plate. Dalton Rushing was a top 30 prospect entering the year. They also have him working in at first base, but again, Freddie Freeman. So they kind of have him blocked at both of his positions. He's only 24. He's had 80 at-bats this year. He's hitting just 200 with a 55 OPS plus, but do you swap Arias and Clark for Dalton Rushing and address, again, it kind of kills two birds with one stone. You get Rushing working in at first base and catcher when you need him to. It seems like they're not super inclined to trade him anymore. It seems like they're not looking to remove pieces off of their major league roster, which like I said, he's only like technically on their major league roster. I mean, he's only played in 29 games for them this year. So is that something that they explored? Something I'd at least be interested in adding. It gives you Narvaez insurance, because while he looks like he's the catcher of the future for the Boston Red Sox, this is the first year he's ever done something like this. It's the first year he's ever produced like this at the plate, and it's the first year he's ever caught this kind of workload. So while I think he's the long-term solution, it'd be nice to have a backup plan of someone that has the prospect pedigree of a guy that could be a long-term solution at either of those positions.
I like this one a lot too. And not to mention, he also bats left-handed. So could you see a potential platoon there to get Narvaez off his legs a little bit more? I wouldn't hate that at all. And that gives you a pretty young, dynamic catcher core. Like, if you're going into next season with those two guys, both pretty young at catcher, and being able to develop alongside each other for the foreseeable future, I would really like that.
Yeah, I don't hate that. It doesn't seem like that. It seems like that kind of has boiled off a little bit, so I'm not necessarily banking on a move like that anymore, but I do have one last name that I added last minute because I felt like I needed a starter.
I'm ready. I like this one.
Per Ari Alexander, who I believe covers the Astros, on Twitter, said that the Red Sox and Cubs are sniffing around Edward Cabrera. And this is one that it kind of grinds my gears, because we know that at the deadline in 23, was it 22?
Must have been.
Yeah, whatever year Justin Turner was here, 23, I think.
23. Yeah.
The Red Sox and Chaim Bloom declined Justin Turner for Edward Cabrera 1-for-1. And obviously Cabrera at the time didn't have the type of pedigree. He was walking the house, which he low-key still does, but he was often injured. He just hadn't been able to put the pieces together. He started to do that this year. Now, he has 3 years of team control after this one, which means the cost of acquisition is probably going to be very high on him. Like, I know the Who Says No that was going around Red Sox Twitter the other day, people were like, that is way too much for Edward Cabrera. But like, I think that's what it's going to be, like 2 top 100 prospects and then like a mid-level prospect, a mid-level top 30. I think it was Yoelin Cespedes, who's sitting around like 15. Like, I think that's what it's going to be, which I don't love for a guy like Cabrera, because the under the hood stuff, it doesn't jump off the page at you. Like, he was a guy with electric stuff, and he still does to a certain extent, but it hasn't necessarily come with a high volume of swing and miss. He's just slightly above average in all of the swing and miss rates, chase percentage, whiff percentage, strikeout percentage. He's slightly below league average on the walk percentage, and the ball's getting hit really hard. It's just on the ground. He's like, I don't want to say it's a similar profile to Brian Bayo, because it's really not. I think the stuff is way better on Cabrera than it is Bayo, but Bayo does a better job of pitching with what he has. So it's not something that I'm super crazy about, besides the fact that he has the team control, and it seems like they kind of want to shy away from going after some of these rentals. It's like everything we've seen so far be reported is that they don't want rentals. But like, at the same time, when you look around, how many guys with control jump off the page at you as someone that you want? I don't want anything to do with Mitch Keller. I think Mitch Keller sucks. So like, I'm all set on him. And to a certain extent, I'm okay on Cabrera. Right now, it's a 3.35 ERA through 94 innings pitched. But it seems like he's the best option of the bunch in terms of adding a starter to this rotation. But again, they might need two with the way that they've been playing right now between Buehler and Fitz.
I think they have the ammo to go after a rental starter and bring in a more of a controlled arm like a Cabrera. I wouldn't be surprised to see that happen, but it does seem like the Marlins are sort of hesitant for whatever reason to move on from a lot of their arms. I also don't understand why it seems like they're more likely to move on from Cabrera than a Sandy Alcantara at this point.
Well, I think it's the ceiling on Sandy.
Right.
We've seen Sandy win a Cy Young before. Obviously, his last 2 starts I think have actually been pretty good. But we've seen the ceiling on that, and Sandy still comes with 2 years of team control too. So I think they're right to hold out on good value on Sandy. I just don't think they're going to get it. To me, I wonder if they've just seen it too many times with Edward Cabrera where the injuries come back to bite him. I mean, he's 5 2/3 innings away from matching his career best 99 2/3 all the way back in 2023, and it was a 5.96 ERA. Obviously, that was walks per 9 I was looking at, but holy shit, a 5.96 walks per 9.
Yeah,
it was a 4.24 ERA that year,
okay.
a 4.95 last year. Like I said, the under the hood stats on Cabrera don't jump off the page at you, but the FIP's still just a 3.67. But he's a ground ball pitcher, and we've seen ground ball pitchers get bit by a terrible Red Sox defense before, as most recently as Brian Bayo's last start. So adding another ground ball pitcher to the mix seems kind of risky. But again, if you're looking for the controllable guys, it's either him or Mitch Keller.
And I would much rather prefer Edward Cabrera in that case. I also think maybe if you bring in another ground ball pitcher and also address your defense, then you can kill 2 birds with 1 stone there as well.
Right. If you get a first baseman, Romy Gonzalez slots in at second base, and then you move Rafael back to the outfield where he belongs, then that's something you can work with. I mean, there's so many different ways they could go, and it seems like the Red Sox aren't involved in any of these rumors right now. And I don't know if it's just because the front office is pretty tight-lipped and they're kind of holding their cards close to their chest, or they're just going to make moves around the peripheries this year. It seems like they're I just got the MLB trade rumors notification on Ryan Helsley that the Rangers and Yankees are interested in Helsley. I haven't seen them linked to Helsley. I haven't seen them linked to Bednar. I haven't really seen them linked to anybody besides teams asking them for players. We know that they checked in on Sandy, and we know that they checked in on Cabrera. So those are the 2 names that we know. Where else do they? We know Yandy Diaz. So only 2 of those guys are starters, and I don't think you're going to get both of them. And the Charlie Morton stuff from a while ago, which I guess is a good segue to bring us into the that's it category. But there needs to be more. They need to, what is he cooking?
I know. And like you said, it's 53 hours until we see what he's cooking or not cooking, but this year feels different. And maybe that's just the optimism in me, trying to cling on to this year as best as I can. But this seems like the year where you need to buy in because, like we said, the American League is wide open. Could you get hot in the playoffs and make a World Series run? I still believe that this team is capable of doing that. So
even if you
why not supplement it?
Even if you don't make a run in the playoffs, I think there's value in making the playoffs.
No doubt.
Who on this team has played playoff baseball in Boston? Duran sat on the bench in 2021.
Whitlock around?
Whitlock was around in 2021.
Tanner Houck.
Who's not going to pitch again this year, I don't think.
No.
Chapman has the playoff pedigree in big markets, but the success hasn't been great.
No, it hasn't.
Besides the Cubs in 2016, but even then, he was good until he got ran into the ground by Joe Madden. So, where is and Bregman has playoff experience in Houston and has won in Houston, but aside from that, none of these guys have ever played in Fenway Park in the playoffs. Obviously with the rookies and Roman Anthony and these guys, Jaron Durant sat on the bench for it. That was all well and good. Rafaela's never seen it. Abreu's never seen it. I think there's something to be said for getting your feet wet in the playoffs. I mean, we saw the young core of Bogarts doesn't count because he was in the World Series in 2013 as a rookie. But even then, that's valuable experience to be on a veteran team that makes a World Series run. But Mookie in 2016, JBJ in 2016, where they got their doors blown off by the Guardians in Ortiz's last year. And then in 2017, same thing happens with the Astros. And then all of a sudden you have your feet wet in the playoffs and it's like, oh, we're the best team of all time, actually. We're going to fucking steamroll our way to the World Series in 2018. That type of stuff matters to me. Like, I want to see this team in the playoffs, even if it is a first-round exit, although I don't think they are a first-round exit if they get there.
Oh, I totally agree, especially if you add a number 2 starter, or at least more of a proven arm there. Like, I think if you get into a wild card series and your first 2 opposing pitchers are Garrett Crochet and some other guy they acquire, then, I mean, you're in pretty great shape. I think that matches up with pretty much any team in terms of a 1-2 punch if you bring in someone else.
Right. I mean, when you look around the American League, the only team to me that can beat you, or the only 2 teams that could potentially match you with throwing Crochet in like a solidified number 2, if you do go out and add a guy like that, are the Astros and Rangers.
Maybe the Mariners.
No, the Mariners. Yeah. Yeah, Mariners between Gilbert and whoever. But even then, depending on who the number 2 is, like I give Crochet the edge over Gilbert, obviously. Yeah. Like I give Crochet the edge over anyone on either of those teams, like including DeGrom. And then so like who's the number 2? Like I don't know. It depends on what they can do, but I feel good about them heading into the I think any of the 3 wild card teams, I don't think the Yankees are going to make the playoffs. So I think the 3 wild card teams are going to be the Sox, Mariners, and Rangers. But like out of any of those 3, like I think all 3 of those teams are capable of going to the World Series.
Totally agree. And the division leaders, as it currently stands, are still pretty suspect. Like I don't trust the Toronto Blue Jays to maintain their production. Exactly. So I mean, and behind Tarek Skubal, well, what do you really have in that rotation?
Yeah, Flaherty, and that's it.
Yeah,
I mean, Flaherty was okay for the Dodgers last year, but yeah, it's wide open. I think there's a real opportunity to win this year and still build for the future. I mean, a lot of these names are guys that would be around moving forward after this year, besides a handful.
Mm-hmm. So we could see this playoff picture turned completely on its head if the Red Sox actually wake up and start buying. But there are a couple names that would make us really upset, and this is our that's all category. We both have one of the same names, and that's Charlie Morton. Who has been floated around a lot. Less as of late, but I still would be pretty furious if that was their only rotation addition. What is he, like 43 or something?
Yeah, I remember working on Jones and Keefe like a week or 2 ago when they were talking about him, and they were like, well, Charlie Morton's older than both of us. So, I don't want to see Charlie Morton.
No.
The one encouraging thing is that Bradfo also told them that if they were to get Charlie Morton, he would find it hard to believe that those were the only 2, or that he was the only starter that they added. So that maybe bodes well for the need of 2 starters. They get Charlie Morton to replace that 5th starter, being Fitz, who by all indications is going to get sent down whenever the Red Sox announce a roster move. And then like a Cabrera or a Cease or whoever it may be that they bring in. So on the bright side, it hopefully wouldn't be the only move. Yeah, but I don't have too much on Charlie Morton. I'm all set on him for the most part.
As am I. The only other one I had was Christian Vasquez, because I think the Twins are in fire sale mode and the Red Sox obviously could use an upgrade at backup catcher. Christian Vasquez is not the answer. I mean, you saw him move to the Astros for Wilyer Abreu, and it was Valdez, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that was an all-time fleece by Chaim Bloom. I think probably his best move that he had in his tenure with the Red Sox.
Yeah.
But I don't want him back. Like, that's all I have to say.
I would take him, but like I think given the category of that's all, like that would be very Danny Jansen-esque.
Exactly.
Like, oh, we're gonna supplement the offense by getting Christian Vasquez. Like, oh, we need a right-handed bat to come in and it's the backup catcher. Like, I mean, it quite literally is the exact same move as
Mhm.
getting Danny Jansen last year. Like, I'm okay with Christian Vasquez if it comes with something else. Like, I don't know. Like, I saw somebody mention like, oh, the Twins might want to get out from that Vasquez money, and it's only like $4 million for the rest of the year. Like, so if they're really that desperate to get out of $4 million and are willing to lower the price on Duran or Jax or someone like that to
Sure.
if you take on Christian Vasquez, fine. But like if that's it, like, oh, here's the right-handed bat. Here's our trade deadline acquisitions, Charlie Morton and Christian Vasquez. It's like, all right, well, you might as well have just sold at this point.
Dude, I always think back to, did you finish the Clubhouse documentary?
I did not know.
Okay, so the trade deadline episode, when they're going around crunching the numbers with everybody in the war room, and then they acquire Danny Jansen, and Craig Breslow and crowd is like, there we go, baby, that's our right-handed bat. They're cheering, clapping, high-fiving, and all that shit. If they do that again, I will
Maybe I'll go
lose my
watch
mind.
that episode. I'll go watch that. Well, so I have it all. I have the entire. See, I think I watched the first 3 episodes.
Mhm.
I have episodes 4 through whatever downloaded on my iPad from the last time I
Oh.
flew to California.
There you go.
And this is, I'm kind of telling on myself here, but I spent the entire flight to California in May playing Balloons Tower Defense on my iPad.
Oh, that's a hit.
So as I was downloading the Clubhouse on the Netflix app on your iPad, you can download games through your Netflix subscription, and that was one of them. And I was
That's
like,
awesome.
"Oh, buddy, Balloons Tower Defense, like that
Oh.
is good stuff." So I spent 6 hours playing Balloons Tower Defense on my last flight to LA.
Balloons Tower Defense went absolutely crazy in the computer lab.
Oh yeah, nutty. And if you get way too high on a flight to LA, it goes nutty on a 6-hour flight too on the iPad via
Seems like
iPad.
a good way to pass the time.
Yeah. But yeah, that's all I have on Christian Vasquez. I actually have another. I'm gonna sub out one of my names
Okay.
because he actually has since been traded to the Rays. Nick Fortes, backup catcher from the Marlins, similar to the Christian Vasquez, Danny Jansen. I just wouldn't be enthralled if that were one of their major moves. Like I said, I also had Charlie Morton. Ryan O'Hearn is on that list for me as well. This is a guy that he was all right last year. Obviously, he was a all-star this year because Rafael Devers got traded out of the American League. And in his own words, thank you, Craig Breslow, I get to be an all-star. As a result. So to me, he just doesn't jump off the page. It's another left-handed bat. So like it is a platoon with Romy Gonzalez. So you are filling that void for the most part in getting a left-handed bat to be that platoon. It's just like, if that's the bat that you're adding, I would just rather you sell. Jake Cronenworth is another one. It's been rumored that the Padres are at least listening on him, but I don't see how they line up with a trade with the Red Sox because they want major league talent for Cronenworth. He can play first and second base, but again, it's another lefty, and it's a piece that just doesn't move the needle for me all that much. Like, he's fine. He's a nice little player. But if you said to me, however many weeks ago, oh, the Red Sox added at the deadline, they got Jake Cronenworth on the offense and Charlie Morton in the rotation, I'd be like, okay, well, why didn't they just sell at that point? This year, it's a 242 batting average, a 740 OPS, a 106 OPS plus. He signed through 2030 at Zach versus Math, 11 mil, a little over 11 million per year. It's a guy that has versatility, 2-time All-Star, but it's just not someone that I'm moving mountains to try to acquire. Like, it'd be a nice piece if you're getting like Jake Cronenworth and here's a big bopper. Like, if you go out and you're emptying the farm for Joe Ryan, which we both agreed seems unlikely, and then you're going lighter on the offensive side because we just got Joe fucking Ryan, then great. Like, bring me Jake Cronenworth. But it just doesn't seem like that's the path they're going. So if at the end of the day, they wind up with like a combination of 2 or 3 of these guys in this category, I'm like, why didn't we sell? Like, there are so many sellable assets on this team. And if this is what we were going to do, this isn't going for it. This is like, if we get in and lose in the first round, yippee, John gets his playoff revenue, which like I think, like I said, I think there is value in making the playoffs, but I don't think there's value in like adding these types of guys in order to do it.
Not at all. And I agree. This is a big trade deadline because if they fall flat like they did last year, then you're left thinking, why didn't they just sell? Because
Especially after trading Devers.
exactly. And we haven't seen the only piece of the Rafael Devers trade we have seen so far is Jordan Hicks.
And
And
he sucks.
I think both of us would like to wipe our memories of what we've seen of him in a Red Sox uniform. So
Yeah.
do we see them allocate any of that Rafael Devers money elsewhere at this trade deadline? Do we see them going for it? Because since they've traded Rafael Devers, and we've mentioned this a bunch of times before, Craig Breslow and Sam Kennedy have been parading around the media being like, don't worry, guys, we're still going to buy. We traded our best player, but we're still going to buy at this trade deadline. We're all in on 2025. This is your last chance to prove it.
Yeah, it literally in that press conference after trading your best player, they were like, "We still believe in this team. This was a culture move. This was this. This was that." And by all accounts, it was a culture move because how many people threw temper tantrums in the clubhouse when they traded Rafael Devers? None. Even Cedon Rafaela, his best friend Brian Bayo, like all these guys that we saw him. Like I said, I'm only 3 episodes into the clubhouse, but we saw all those Latin guys sitting together in that season opening dinner with Raquel. Like, how many of those guys did we see that were like overly distraught about the Rafael Devers trade? None. But like to a certain point, like if you're going to trade Rafael Devers and then you're going to stand pat, the move is to sell because you started selling on June 15th, if that was the case. If you're not going to supplement this team, you made the ultimate sell move in trading your best player for guys that haven't impacted things so far. And I said it on the last episode, Kyle Harrison, I don't think is going to factor in this year. James Tibbs, I think is a guy that could just be immediately back out the door this trade deadline. So like that's a guy, and even so, the profile just doesn't really move me on James Tibbs. So like this is you traded him for the financial flexibility and a lottery ticket arm that you hope you can mold into something because of the familiarity with the pitching lab. So like you need to either commit to buying or you need to commit to selling. There can't be any of this bullshit halfway that we saw last year where we're going to move out. Like I rattled off the 40-man guy or the Rule 5 eligible guys earlier in the episode, but we're going to move fucking 15 40-man guys that we're not going to add so that they're not Rule 5 eligible and get picked and walk for nothing. Like we're just going to unload them for whatever shit bum we can find. That was stupid last year, which I'm fine with them doing that. If they were going to go out and they were going to trade a bunch of Rule 5 eligible guys last year to get whoever, they should have sold last year too. Like, and they could have done both. Like this year, if you're just planning on doing something like that again, you already committed to selling by trading Rafael Devers, so you might as well just go all the way in on it and move Giolito and move Buehler. See if you can find someone that's like, oh, well, Walker Buehler, he did this last year where he was terrible in the regular season and then it was lights out in the playoffs. Giolito's been great. Chapman, I think, would immediately be one of the most valuable relief assets on the market, especially given the Class A suspension now. Like, you need to pick a lane. That's all I want. I would prefer that you buy. I gave 7 names I would love for you to buy, but if you're not going to buy, then guys need to be moved. I mean, fuck, Romy Gonzalez should be on the market if you're really selling. Like, this is a guy that you could capitalize on him having a career year. Like, I said it on the last episode, Bregman too. If you're not going to be aggressive in buying and be aggressive in going for it, why would you not at least entertain offers on Alex Bregman? You would get a complete haul for him and guarantee that he doesn't just walk for nothing in the offseason. I mean, we know that Kenley Jansen got pissed off by this front office because they told him when they signed him to a 2-year deal, we're going for it. We're competing in these 2 years. And they missed the playoffs both years and like largely were non-competitive throughout his entire tenure here. Like, so what, like if you're not going to meaningfully add and show Alex Bregman that we're building around you and this core and we're going to pay you for a long time, like you're going to retire a Boston Red Sox, then you should at least entertain it. Like you just have to pick a lane, like either restock the cupboard for your offseason additions, whether it be Joe Ryan or whoever may come available at the time, or like go for it now and meaningfully buy and then figure out the rest in the offseason. None of this middle ground bullshit. Like go out and add somebody that means something to your team.
I think that's a good spot to end it, to be honest. We won't check in again until after the trade deadline, where hopefully we have a lot of moves to break down, but who knows? I echo everything you just said. They need to pick a lane, and If not, then man, the vibes of the next episode could be pretty bad.
If they don't pick a lane in this one, then they pretty much just hired pitching Heim Bloom. Like Heim was really good at identifying hitters and going out and developing them. And Breslow on the minor league level, it appears he's been very good at identifying pitchers and having them develop. So hopefully they didn't just yank our chain with Heim saying like, oh, Heim, he's going to restock the cupboards, but we're going to lie and we're going to say we're going for it, even though he's very clearly here to replenish the farm system. And then they did the same thing with Breslow. And if it just comes like in a year and a half where they're firing Breslow and are like, oh, but look at all these great pitching prospects we had, then you can just slap the fell forward again award right on my chest. But until then, I'm willing to hold out at least a little bit of hope that they're going to pick a lane and buy, even if the reports haven't really been super promising on guys that they're interested in.
Totally agree. I think they need to have the same conviction that they had when they traded Rafael Devers at approaching this trade deadline. And we'll see how it pans out. But either way, thanks so much for listening, and we'll check in with you guys again next time.
Bye, Craig. Bye.